as a metaphor. Sometimes things fall apart metaphorically. This one does not. What does the lighthouse do? It stands alone on the rock, unshaken, because it's cognized its light, it's real. And its use is almost always in the dark. Have you got that? And so is yours. And it stands alone on the rock, and the light steers those around it into a safe harbor if they choose to look. So anyone who is navigating in the dark on an open sea has the choice to look or not at the lighthouse, which signals a safe passage. Now think about this. As the captain of the vessel steers to where the lighthouse says to go to, they don't particularly absorb the light. They don't necessarily become a lighthouse. Instead, they use the light to see better. And they congratulate the lighthouse. They love the lighthouse for helping them to navigate their lives better. And then the next time they're at sea, they look for more lighthouses because they know they work for them. And they know they need them because they're always in the dark. Dear ones, this is the world around you. There are so many in the dark. There are so many who feel night is here and they cannot get past what is happening to them or on the planet at the moment. And they're so confused and so fearful. And here you are, an aware light worker, and you don't try to convince them that they need to be a lighthouse. All you do is love them, and that is the light. That's the light that may steer them into a safe place. Eventually, they may ask you what you have that they would like. If they see something in you that is desirable, that they would love to have, perhaps how you navigate your life, and it seems that you're so lucky, and it has nothing to do with luck because you've learned to shine your light before you. If they want to know how, that's when you introduce them, perhaps, to some ideas. But not until then. And so the lighthouse is a generic light worker who doesn't then spread the light so that others will become lighthouses, but instead spreads love. This is not just an idea. This is your purpose. To be so confident and cognize what you have, that you know that by spreading that light, that love, that it'll make a change in your family, in your relationships, in your life, and eventually on the planet. Let me tell you something. There are enough of you right now. Even those listening to this, there are enough of you to make a difference in your town, in your city, in your family, and eventually on the planet. This starts to wake up to something it didn't expect, a higher consciousness, new paradigms. In lieu of much of what you believe that's happening that is negative and fearful, I'll tell you, light is winning. You'll see. That's the message. It's always the message, but especially for you right now to hear. That's what you're about. Thanks to all those who hear this message, who are now young and ready to make a difference in their lives and the lives of others around them. This is the new energy. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
I invite you to close your eyes and take a while to settle into your body, breathing into your belly, slowing the rhythm of your breathing. This is your time. This is your space. This is your opportunity to take care of yourself first, because the honor of your journey is passed on to others. This is where you allow yourself permission to relax. This is where you open yourself to receive. This is where you are in a safe place. This is your sanctuary. This is your eternal connection. This is a place where you embrace all the elements of the soul. This is where you share the moment with your higher self. You share the moment with your guides and your angels. You share the moment with your ancestors. You share the moment with Gaia and all the beautiful sentience Gaia has. The beautiful animals on the planet, the plants, even the whales and dolphins share in this moment. The elementals of Gaia share in this moment. All the richness of your Akash share this moment. Innate, the smart body, shares this space with you in this moment. Innate always has its antenna raised, listening for your instructions, for your intent. It is sharing this space with you. The crystalline grid absorbs the energy of this moment, and you will leave an imprint of this experience that will forever remain on the planet. And your soul, that peace that is always with you, is ready for you to come a little closer. So Kryon, we are ready to come a little closer.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon. Come a little closer. This is the second time we have presented a circle of 12 in front of those who would sit in an audience before us. This enhances the entire experience because there's a cognization, you might say, of a togetherness. You've learned to call that a coherence of consciousness. What that means is there are many here that know one another, even slightly, sitting next to each other, even slightly, that enhance the one next to them to make this experience even more real. And that brings up the subject that this particular meditation is not a meditation. It is an exercise of reality shift. It is a real exercise. It is something that exists, an invitation to change dimensionality, even if for a while. Something that has not been offered before and was not necessarily possible with most individuals, even old souls, before the shift of 2012. My partner speaks of new energy on this planet, and there indeed is. It is an expected energy. It is an enabling energy. Dear ones, those who seeded you have watched this civilization for all of these thousands of years to this point to see if that precession of the equinoxes, the end and the beginning of the 26,000-year cycle, would make a difference. Would you destroy yourselves prior to it? Or would there be something that would keep you from doing that, where you would then go right into that shift and be ready for a new kind of energy, a new awareness, as this planet spins through new areas of space that also will enhance it. All of this to say, you are here at this point in time in 2021. And that says something. You made it. I'll tell you something else, old soul, as you sit in front of me. There are many who understand that there is indeed some form of planning session before you get here. It's a profound one, especially the one you went through, all of you. Hard to imagine that you went through a session that might have put you on the planet with the parents you have, with the conditions you went through. But indeed, most of you did this willingly because this would be the time through the shift that might make the difference on the planet. Here's why we love you so much. When you were looking at the planet, when you came, there was no guarantee that you would make it through the shift. There was no guarantee that World War III wouldn't happen. You have always been on the cusp of war, always. This planet has been through as many world wars as it could possibly go through with the technology that it had to create a world at war. Before then, it was countries at war singularly with countries, and before that, it was tribes with tribes, but there was always war. Look around. You might say war was the staple of human nature. And when you stood at the wind of birth, about ready to come into this planet, that was what was pending. That was the future. Your scriptures read that you might not make it past the year 2000, that something would happen. That it would be the end, perhaps, of earth as you know it. And there were so many who believed that. And as you stood there in that planning session, there was the idea you might come into this planet and be incinerated by yet another final war. And you looked around, and what you knew with the others is this: if enough of us come back, if enough of us say yes and go in with the light we have and what we know might happen, the shift can go without a war. How many of you have put this together? Those listening to this particular channel even later, how many of you put that together? That your existence on the planet as an old soul, whether you feel you're awakened or not, your old souldom is valuable in the shift of the planet because you came. Because on the other side of the veil, you made that decision in full awareness of God, of what might happen here. And in you came. What an energy that sits before me. I don't know if you really put that together. That's courageous. Old soul, that's courageous. And because you did it, and because there were so many who did it, there was no World War III. In fact, there was the beginning of the opposite. Against all odds, a détente against all odds, shifts were going on that would bring you to a place where certain systems of government fell over and fell down that would have fed the World War III and did not. And it all came to a close and an end and a stop. And you did not go into that, which was the horror that was predicted by almost everyone. That was you. And so the shift begins. And in this shift, there is now an accelerated energy of discovery. That's the best I can give you. For you now to have the ability to go beyond almost any spiritual attribute that has existed on this planet. Because a planet of war and horror is not where you're going to find enlightened civilizations. A planet of horror and war does not lend itself even to small groups going into what you can go into today, which is an accelerated attitude, dimension, self-introspection, and a move where you can go beyond the veil. That's what we do now. I told my partner those months ago, build an exercise of reality so people can go into the unimaginable reality of their own soul. Unimaginable because they had never been there, not on a regular basis, not voluntarily. It was difficult, to some impossible. There's been a veil, dear ones, you could not penetrate or pierce, and you know what I mean. Seemingly even the highest of the gurus could reach a point where they might be in the veil and pull back energies that seemed to be magic, but they couldn't go through it. To go through it, they assumed would be death. And now I tell you the real story. The veil separates the three dimensions from the multi-dimensions of your soul. You have lived in the linear part, which is the human part, all of these years. And some of you have done such a wonderful job of holding the light, even in darkness. You've done such a good job of holding the light, even in fear. And in that, you have helped create this planet as it exists today, simply by your wonderful thoughts, the joy, the love, the hope. And here you sit. Now I'm going to tell you, there is a way, simply through intent, that you can now move through that veil into that which is the seemingly magic elements of your soul, which are multidimensional, and you can start to see the bigger you, the rest of you, the enlarged you. And it's not odd or spooky or scary. It doesn't have to be, because it's totally safe, because it's you discovering more of you. The metaphor is this. We create a metaphoric bridge to cross, which is a way of saying you're going from what you know to what you don't know. And in that already, there is some fear, often, because humans do not like to venture into that which they're uncertain about. It just makes sense. It is your survival. You don't walk off a plank into nothingness and you know better. And so that's why I will help you, and I'm here for that. And that is why I came to this planet. I'm here to guide you through a new dispensation, one that's going to be of compassion, that allows these kinds of things on a regular basis to occur alone with you, not just in a guided way, where you can actually give intent to walk across a bridge, metaphorically, through a mist that is the veil, to a revelation of things you didn't expect that are you. So I'm going to invite you to do that with me. This is the circle of 12, the 12 indicating the energy of the universe, the sacredness of all things, and the catalyst of spirit. A catalyst is something that pushes the envelope, bringing things together that create something else. And that is what this is all about. The bridge exists, and you cannot see what's on the other side, so there has to be trust. You have to understand that walking into this unknown place is walking into a safe place that you don't expect. Once you have been there and felt the reality of it, even one time, you'll want to go back. This is not something that you do casually. Don't do it if you're not ready. But understand, it's not a meditation. It's a reality right now. And you can create it with me. I want you to take my hand and let's cross the bridge together. Oh, if I could really show you everything. This would be something that you'd remember for the rest of your life. A journey into an area that is not explainable, where truth and love, compassion, healing seem to be like raindrops falling on every part of your cellular structure. Rather than being afraid, you welcome it, you see it, you understand it, and you go, oh my, this is what I wanted. When I stood at the wind of birth, even before I came, this was the promise, that we might be able to do this while we were alive. To get a glimpse into our own soul, and if we did it, we could work the puzzle there. And we could work the puzzle there so much better than we could on the linear side of the bridge. Every Healing Wednesday, I bring you to this place within your own soul, with your own scope of reality, and present a scenario of healing to you. And you can say, well, it's a nice meditation and it's a nice thought, but it isn't. It is a reality if you choose it to be. And that, my dear friend, is the multidimensional part of you. That 24th pair of chromosomes. You have 24. 23 are linear, 1 is multidimensional. Given to you by the star seeds. And this is the one you're using right now as the energy starts to increase on the planet, giving you allowance and enablement. You walk into this place and there's so much to imagine, and every single one of you has a different idea of what is there, because multidimensionality does not land on linear receptors. It creates things of patterns in your unique brain, and you see what you could see. You might see the angelic shapes of those who are there to help you. You might see the plans for the future of co-creation that you set forward. You might greet your innate. You might see those in the past. There's always a door to go through, and we ask you to go through this door. It's a symbol. It is an analogy of moving into a place of energy that's specific. Go through that door with me. Take my hand. Let's go through the door. It's your door. It's almost like a segmenting of a space in your soul where we're going to work. Where you're going to receive something if you choose. And the receipt of what you might choose this time is the same as we gave the last group. It's that profound. We want you to have it. Through that door, if you'll allow it, there is a visualization of a theater in the round. Sometimes it's enormous, sometimes it's small. It doesn't matter today. A theater in the round where an audience sits all the way around it, and there is a sunken stage. So you must go down into the audience and up onto the stage. Another metaphor. On the stage there is a single chair. Another metaphor. All the things that Spirit gives you, oftentimes in scripture and quatrains, mean something else. Almost nothing is linear. The chair represents that which is safe. You sit. You do not have to stand and be examined, which is the metaphor often of standing before an audience. Or performance, and you don't have to do that. You sit. And you sit and you're ready to receive. And in this particular theater, something different than any we've done except the last group. There is a fire pit in front of you. It's not too hot for you, but you see the flames are hot enough to burn anything that goes into it to a crisp, destroy it. And you know something's going to happen. The audience starts to show itself, and it's similar to an audience you might have seen before. But this is an accelerated exercise. I want to stop here before we even examine the audience. Are you with me? Is this real? Or is this imaginary? Each one of you is invited to move into this dimension of reality so you can feel it happening for you. Because what's about to happen can affect your life forever. The audience starts to show itself. There could be a few, there could be hundreds. But you start to recognize them in an odd way. Very odd. Because every single one in the audience is part of your Akash. They are all you. Every single one of them is you in a past life. You look closely. Some of them are ancient and old, and some of them are no more than 3 months old. How can that be, you say? What has happened there? That is where you had an agreement to come in and die early. To put your parents in a place where they found Spirit and could touch the face of God because they were in such sorrow they had no other option. And you pushed the light of the planet because of that sacrifice to come and die early. That's a past life. Many of you didn't even have a name yet. That's you. That's what old souls have gone through. Those are the programs that you set for yourself. All the genders are there. You've been both male, you've been both female. And you look around and you start to see them. And your Akash starts to ring with the truth of this exercise. Every single one in the chair here today has a past life record. It's real. And every single one of you today can be with me right now in this, not an exercise truly, but a reality shift. And understand that they're now looking at you. It's a meeting of the yous with yous, all of you meeting all of you. Only this one is different. Because all that has gone by, all of the past lives, all of those with other names which are you, with one soul today where you are, all of them have one thing in common. They look at you as they say, you made it. Of all of the lives we've had, you are the one who chose to go through the shift. And everything all of us together have ever done has to been moving toward this moment. And what happens next, dear ones, could only happen in this energy. Are you ready? Every single one of those people that you have been, humans, every one, including the child, including the one who is 3 months old, all of them have something for you. There's a package that they've wrapped up. And one by one, they're going to come onto the stage in front of you and give them your old name, who they are, when they lived. And they're going to take that package and they're going to make an announcement and toss it into the fire. And it starts, and you start to see what's going to happen. One from the longest time ago will come forward and say, I was your first life. And it impacted you greatly because of the things that happened that carried on to the next life and the next life, because I was the first of the Akash. Some of which you still have today. And some of it stinks, they'll say, because some of it is odd and old, and some of it is not good to look at, and some of it is sorrowful. And they'll say, it's all in this package that I give to you today, and in the fire it goes, and it burns to a crisp. And they say it's no longer part of your karma. And they bow and they move on. And one by one they come up. And the packages, you don't even recognize some of them, but they tell you all about them. This was the sorrow you went through in war. This is you on the battlefield dying in the dirt. Something you will never have to carry with you or remember, ever, because I have it in this package. I've carried it for you. You've carried it. We've carried it. And now it goes into the fire and it's gone. You will never have to experience that as long as you're a human being on the planet. It will not be carried in your psyche or your subconscious. One by one. Even somehow that little 3-month-old human being who shouldn't be able to walk comes up and speaks and says, this is the sacrifice that you made, only here for a little while. It's in this package. And whatever it caused in your karmic attitude, in any of that which is your Akash today, it's gone. Oh, and then there are the diseases. There's the genealogy that you had, perhaps, that your sister had and your mother had. There it is in the package. Dissolved, gone. One by one, one by one. How long is that going to take? What do you know right now that you carry that's inappropriate for your magnificence? I want you to think about it. What are you afraid of? What's the deepest seated fear? What is it you won't do? I want you to see it wrapped in one package of one of those souls. All one soul, one of those human beings who comes up and throws it in the fire and announces their name and tells you where it came from. When they're done, you're clear. If you'll follow me in this reality, in this dimensional shift, and do these things and watch and be truly aware of what's going on right now, you realize you are in another dimension and it's real. And this is your soul operating at the highest level with your human body for the first time in a very fast track of dropping all of these things that you don't need anymore. One by one. When you're finished and they're finished, and you come back to this chair in the Creative Life Center in Sedona, Arizona, you can be changed forever. Where things can now soar and happen because the subconscious is cleared of all these karmic attributes. Something that they strive for in so many countries, the nirvana that they know is there, is something you just cleared. Because you're an old soul and because you can. I want you to stay there. Stay there. Stay there. And return as many times as you want to finish this if it's not complete. Is it real? Or is it a meditation? I have a room of old souls that can leave this building differently than they came. Stay. And so it is. Hi everybody, I'm Lee Carroll. I am the original channel of Kryon.
So it is good day to you, huh? Oh, so good to see you, your light, your brightness, your divine presence, your beings, you're beaming with energy right now, huh? Do you know that? When you move around, the electricity is not actually working, is it? It is just you. Your bright, iridescent light that is coming so forward and clearly. You have stepped up to the plate and you have volunteered to be here right now. Huh? And when you volunteer to be here, you get to volunteer to be everywhere. Because your light goes out around the planet. Yes? Dearly beloveds, everything is changing. As it did 2,000 years ago. The world shifted. And as it shifted, many came into power. Many were afraid. We are thankful that you are rid of your fear. Your mission is every bit as important as mine was. Is in this holy sacred place. They teach many paths lead to one. They know in this sacred center of your heart, many paths may lead to one. But you're the one that were chosen to be here now again. In these changing times, just as you were chosen for us to walk together. Yes, each of you. We see no strangers in this group. It is good to see you again. You have shorter hair. That mission of bringing love and compassion to this planet again, I implore you. I would like your help. Before, it was really just me and a few others. They say 12. There was actually a lot more. And now we are here again at a turning point. So this planet can heal. So this planet can heal. So the people of this planet can heal. And those who have that healing mission will extend beyond where they thought their wildest dreams would take them, just because they say yes. I said yes. I'm grateful. You each are saying yes as well. We love you deeply. We see you as I am in your hearts. So many have asked me, well, when are you coming back? Too late. Already here, right there, in your heart. Please help. In love. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Kadosh, 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 Adonai Savaot. Namaste.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. The following message is offered as an addendum and also a duplicate, perhaps, of last night. And the reasoning for this is that I want this group to hear the same thing live that I said last night. It is seldom that we would repeat a message in this form. But when we do, you know it's important. The message is this. Shortly, there's going to be something called the Circle of 12. And I wanted to explain it as best I can. What might it be? What are the metaphors involved in the 12, even in the circle? Yes, there will be a circle. Yes, there will be 12. But there's more. It's the beginning of an energy where it's time. 31 years ago, when I came in to start giving messages, it was a slow process with my partner. 31 years ago, the whole crux of why I was here, the purpose, the energy, the focus, was not even known by my partner. But over the years, I told him that something was coming. The first book that was ever written, The Channels, the first channel ever given in the book, talked about the fact that the time was changing from all of your prophecies, that there would be no Armageddon, that the ball was starting to roll towards something else. And that something else became the prophecy of the ages, that humanity would sail past a time when it was predicted for its demise. You went past the year 2000 right into 2012. And dear ones, I'll tell you that none of your scriptures had you doing that. None of them. Even though words from Nostradamus told you that you wouldn't make it. From so many channels accurately saw that you wouldn't make it. It didn't make them wrong that they said that you wouldn't. It says a lot about the energy that was. And almost at the last moment, you pulled it out. My purpose here, from all of these years, was to guide you to that place. And then when you got there, to tell you more about what it was, the new normal, the new human, all of the things that are there for you to look at in the lineage of the Kryon messages that I've given. Always in love, always in compassion, never asking you to do anything that would be inappropriate, never giving you a doctrine, but only that you would look into the eyes of the Creator and see yourself. That's all I ever did. This won't change from that. It will get bigger. And it's going to change into a place and a way that is commensurate with everything in this building. Everything in this campus, this village. Because I gave my partner instructions that He's going to start changing what he does, adding unto the messages of the shift, but going to a place that he didn't expect. Dear ones, you have no idea, not really, of what is inside you. If you were a child of the Creator, what might be there? Past 3D. What might be there that you've never been told you could do? Every single human being is a multidimensional creature on this planet, placed here on purpose. We know your names. You have passed this marker, and I'll tell you, there has been a galactic shift because of that. Those out there know what you've done. They've been waiting for it. It echoes what many of them have done. Yes, all over. There are those like you, children of God. There will be a day when you meet the family, and you will recognize them, much like you. They'll have the same story about the love and the kindness and the compassion and what they've gone through and what their planets have gone through and their transition time and their wars. And you'll sit down and talk, and a whole new world will open to you as you listen to them and see yourself. It's coming. But all through your history, you have had story after story about the miracles that have occurred. The masters have come to this planet. Seemingly, they've raised the dead. Seemingly, there have been all manner of healings and miraculous things occur. And you just look at it and go, that master was so powerful. Look at this. Not understanding, even for a moment, that what the master had done was to set an energy so that the human involved could do the work. The master did not create the healing. The master created an energy allowing the healing to occur. There are many stories of those who have gone to the other side and come back, seemingly raised from the dead. This is also that which is your ability to come back from the brink of darkness, even after the pronouncement of death. Because you have this, dear ones, always have. Choice, soul choice, soul choice. It's not the choice of the ancestors, it's the choice of you. You have always had this spark, and you can call it whatever you want to. It's never been named because it's always been assigned to those that seem to be more important than you. You didn't even recognize it was you, but it always has been. If you're going to go into an evolvement of consciousness, if you're going to have the maturity of understanding so much more of that which is you, your soul, your connection with all that is, if you're going to go to that place, dear ones, you have to understand you're not going to sail into that place with an old energy. You're not just going to have the same old next to you. There's going to be new energies that must be developed and will be developed, awarenesses that never were there. Awareness that you're powerful. Awareness that there's more than you ever thought. In order to have that, there must be an energy of allowance that creates permission, where you can go into a place, feel the energy, and come out saying, I never realized this was mine to do. I never realized that alone, with my magnificence, I could do this. That's about to be created. I'm not the only one that's going to create this, dear one. And we're calling it the Circle of 12. And it's going to happen soon for the first time. I've told my partner to slowly create this, explain it. I can't explain it to you, but I can try. If you've talked to anyone that has had spontaneous remission, it's seen as a miracle, isn't it? Isn't it? Every cell of the body resounds with something that almost changes the time. It's almost they went backwards in time, a time before the disease. Spontaneous remission is what it sounds like, spontaneous. It's not something, well, I'm going to get a little better now. It's where the disease leaves completely. Sometimes quickly, sometimes overnight, sometimes very fast. It can only be a miracle unless it isn't. What if it was the human soul, a piece of creation, starting to be multidimensional and actually controlling the chemistry of the body, chasing out the disease, creating an immune system which is more powerful than any you've ever seen just for a moment in time. And the disease surrenders to the power of the human being in its magnificence, in its God energy. Now take that energy and amplify it and put it in a room. A room you might be able to walk into and feel. A room where you could feel manifestation of your future. A room that would heal from anxiety and fear and might even change Akash. It might even take those things such as betrayal. You see, I know who's listening. And whereas you would wake up in the morning and have the sorrow of the betrayal and can't believe it, and it activates seemingly a dark part of your life and you can't get rid of it, imagine that diminishing so that you don't even remember it. That's a healing. Imagine being in such control of your cellular structure that you can feel the years being added to your life as you bask in that green light of magnificence. Imagine understanding for the first time, I've always had this. It just never was released. I've always had this. Always. There's so many kinds of healing. The healing of the body, the healing of fear, the healing of anxiety, the healing of the Akash. I told my partner to create that place. And I've also told him to tell those who approach it not to go in. Don't even think about going in unless they mean it. Don't go in to look around because not much would happen. That's how strong it is. I've told my partner to create this every single week in a way that many can experience it. I've told my partner to give away 25% of every meeting free and let the rest fund the whole system so that everyone can participate at some level, at some time. It is the circle of 12, dear ones, and the appropriate color will be green. A green that surpasses any kind of a green you've ever seen before. It permeates every cell. The circle of 12 is coming. And there will be those who will come and experience and say, well, I didn't feel anything. That's because all of this is pushed by free choice. Get ready for a new paradigm. The one you've come from says that outside help is the only way you're going to survive. And so you go to the buildings and you report and you kneel and you pray and you do this and you do that and you call for help, 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 expecting simply that lowly human you're told you are to receive something from the sky, not understanding that you own the sky, not understanding it's always been there, always been there. Miracles don't come from outside sources, dear ones. They come from inside. That's the message, isn't it? My partner will prepare to do this. And I will guide him through it. And it will be new to him. Creating this kind of energy, trying to explain it, and guiding those into it. In a multi-dimensionality, every single soul is everywhere at the same time. And that means all of this can be done from a distance, and yet you're there. That is the premise of having a multidimensionality as a reality. And you know it works. Not too far from here. The tower exists as a symbol for silent unity. And for over 100 years, they have created international, intergalactic, multidimensional energy of prayer. And they know that it goes everywhere all at once, way past the earth. It's like a beacon that can be seen by so many because it is divinely inspired and it features human beings aware of what prayer can do. An energy of intent and compassion and kindness that starts to bathe in that light of magnificent healing. And that's why it's been so successful. You don't need to come to the tower or kneel in order to receive that which they will broadcast as your helping hand. And they will tell you that what prayer does is not an offering to the sky or to the Creator. It's not a plea. It's not begging. It's an energy that goes right to the human being in trouble and says, you are magnificent. Stand up and be healed. That is the circle of 12. I wanted to tell you what it is so you would know, and those listening so they would know. And so there would be no mistake of the intent of what is to come. It is time for these kinds of changes. I won't be the only one. There will be others offering the same. This is what I wanted to tell you in this day, in this moment, in this time. Take this place in your heart when you leave. Your prayers make a difference. Pray for this place and those who run it, for those who are volunteering in it, and for the incredible lineage to continue and to continue. And so it is. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching this. I wanted to tell you this is a little time sensitive.
Keep expanding that sensation that is in your heart. From the meditation that was just guided by Monica. Keep expanding it as far as you can see and beyond. Feel it deeper and deeper, the sense of peace, the sense of light, the sense of love, of unconditional love, the sense of compassion, of deep compassion that you have for yourself and for all other living beings. Breathe and allow yourself to feel even more that divine light being that you are. How much more love can you feel right now within you? How much more love can you allow Spirit to love you? Breathe and love yourself even more. For those that live here, the Icelanders, they know this land is sacred to them. And for those who came for the tour, they feel the sacredness as they walk through this ancient land, feeling the honor that there is in this land for humans and their connection and relationship to Gaia and the elementals. Joined together in this unique evening between Icelanders and visitors of the island, creating one unified field of coherence, of honor, of love and compassion together, and together for the rest of humanity, for the light that you're creating here and taking it with you home to your communities, to your friends and family, to your country, and to everywhere you are. And it all comes down to one thing, and that is deep unconditional love. Deep unconditional love that eventually will spread and transmute the fear that is existing right now in many places on earth. And as you are in the state of being, and openness and allowness, let us hear the final message of Kryon from the source of all that is and the immense love that Spirit has for you.
Greetings, dear ones. I'm Kryon of Magnetic Service. Message number 11. From the place, the island nation of Iceland. The tour started many days ago, and the beauty was obvious. The earth spoke. The guardians of the rocks in the canyons moved away, allowing for the channeling to occur. It's an odd thing to say, but this land would understand. For as I told you earlier, this land has multidimensional aspects that allow it to speak. And so often those speakings manifest themselves as entities, as they do in so many other lands. It's the only thing that makes sense to a human. When it feels a personality and knows consciousness, it has to then somehow put a form to it. Those who would laugh at this, I will tell you, you've done this, humans, forever. In your spiritualness, when an angel came to you, or what you thought an angel came to you, you had no concept of what it might be. It's a multidimensional essence that moves through walls and frightens you even. We've said this before. Every angel that has come and had things to say, the first thing it said was, fear not, fear not. Why would a beautiful, absolutely stellar consciousness be something to fear? And the answer is because it looks different, and it is different. You put skin and wings on them to make them palpable. And this is what societies do to all of the elementals that that they can't understand, but they must have a shape. And in some places and in some countries, it's so beautiful that it sustains itself century after century after century. And that is what has happened here. And so those on the tour got a chance to see it and feel it, and if they wish to, they could understand it. There's always the free choice to believe it or not believe it. But that is what this group got. The earth spoke to them in many places and in many ways. The elementals include all the water, even that among the ice. And so we congratulate those who are guardians and stewards of your land. There is no accident that the Icelander is here. None at all. Some would say, well, in a nation that has such few people, what can they do? It would change the planet. And the answer is the same as I have given so many times to other societies, but this one, you're an island. This one, I would say to you, keep it pristine. Watch very carefully for those who would take it away from you. Keep that which is your tradition, even though those would all roll their eyes and say, well, we don't believe in those things today because it's a modern day. And I'll tell you that the elements of the earth are very modern. They've been here forever, and they will be here until the earth goes away. That's how modern. They're always in the now, and they will always have names. And if you listen, they'll always speak to you. And right now they're saying, keep it pristine. Keep it pristine. This is the last channeling in this great land. And in this room, I spoke of the virus which continues to move around the planet. Now, you can go back and listen to message number 1, for I'm not going to review it all that much. But there are those now, as it grows and grows, who are saying things like, Kryon, why is this happening to a planet that is supposed to go into an area of higher consciousness? How could this be? And then I will say, have you really been listening to the channelings? Have you really been reading the messages? 2 steps forward, 1 step back. You are currently in the step back. What did you think it would look like? Did you think it would simply be a walk in the park, as they say, where an entire planet changes consciousness? And the answer is that you did not bring this as a punishment. And there are so many who go right to that place. And they will think that because of the doctrines they have studied and all of the scripture they have read, that God is a punishing God, and therefore you must have done something horrible. What if this was a cleansing? What if this was a wild card? What if, when the dust clears, this planet will be different? What if? It changes the geopolitical structure. It changes what people think, because they'll know a grander truth when it's over that they did not know before it began. And this was the hint I gave you before, the things to look at, and I'll say it again. Diseases are not political. They do what they do. Watch. Examine. Review. See where it came from and where it went to first, and it tells a story. It tells a bigger story that you're not going to like later. But for now, there are many who are saying goodbye to their elders. For now. There's great sorrow. For now, there's fear. Mentioned so many times by so many channelers. The pandemic is not of a disease, it's a fear. And the fear spreads that it would touch you in certain ways, even though the vast majority will recover completely and totally in a small amount of time. It still will take you and make you afraid. And so the question is this, not why it's here, not what to do. about getting rid of it, because it will pass. It will pass. The question really is this: what are you supposed to do, light worker, right now? What is the task of the light worker? There are many things I could say right now, some of which make sense to you and some don't. Kryon didn't tell us this was coming. Dear ones, what happens here is with free choice. It's in the field. It's not guaranteed. It's not 100%. And you had control over whether it was going to happen or not, and you will see that later. And there are those who actually tried to stop it, and you'll see that later. And it's here anyway. If I had given you the potential, what would it have achieved? And the answer is fear. The predictions that I give to you are the ones that I see manifested from a maturing society, a transparency of compassion, a better planet, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. What are you supposed to do, light worker? I'll tell you right now. Listen. This is why you're here. Number 1, stay safe. Stay safe. Because you're not going to be able to achieve much in sickness. Stay safe. It's not that hard. Stay safe. And as this plays out, be aware of those around you who are wringing their hands and shortening their lifespan because of the fear they're in. Not knowing what to do next and turning from place to place and pacing up and down and wondering what's happening to them and their family and this planet or this country. That's where you step in. And you soothe them and give them compassion and tell them stories if you need to. Comfort them, be with them, sit with them. So they can see you're not afraid, but you're safe. That you're using common sense in all things and staying safe. And knowing that this is a passing thing and not forever. And that whatever happens today, they'll come out of it tomorrow. This is what light workers do. This is the lighthouse on the rock. And I said before, no one knows the name of the lighthouse, and yet it saves so many navigators and sailors and nauticals. And they see the light and they go around and they know that where there's light, there's safety. You're a lighthouse. And this is what we will say when asked in these next months over and over. And any questions and answers, these are the answers. And these will continue to be the answers. No matter what the questions are, including why me. And the answer is, if you're a light worker, I just told you why you. So that you can change it. So you can temper it. So you can save lives by comforting them. Because there is so much fear here. I'll tell you what this planet is learning right now. They're learning a lot about the media and its part. They're learning how a media can make it worse. They're learning how a media can take lives by frightening people to death. That's what they're learning. You'll come from this a better place. Journalists, review what has happened. And think upon these things and your profession to inform. And ask yourselves, what have you done that is good for the planet today? And if this were to occur a month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, in the future, what would you do differently? And you will get answers. It's starting to reveal a more compassionate planet. Listen, there are those who are worried that there will be amazing things, especially in certain countries where they'll gather their guns and they'll put together a place and hold their position because they expect that the public is going to attack for food. What if I told you the opposite? What if this is becoming a kinder, compassionate planet right now, where neighbors are helping neighbors and people are greeting each other at a 1 meter distance? Different from any time in the planet's history, looking at one another and saying, we're going to make it through this. We love you. We're going to be okay. We love you. If you need help, let us know. We'll do our best under the circumstances. And there's very few that say, well, where's my gun? Not today. Not today. This is one of the biggest differences. When the historians write what happened to this planet, it will be books filled with what they didn't expect, as well as what really might have happened on this planet. This is a message of compassion. This is a message that says, light workers, you trained for it, it's here. Get through this and you move forward with a different planet, with a different consciousness. People are going into self-introspection right now and saying, could it be there's something bigger that I missed? Could it be the consciousness is starting to change? And maybe this was all part of that. Dear ones, you're going to get through this. This is just the peak of it, starting now. You're going to get through this. Stay safe. Be circumspect. Don't hide out any more than you have to. When you're allowed out, you help people. If you meet them in the store, you help them. If they look like they are in trouble, you can speak to them. You don't have to touch them yet. You can speak to them. Are you okay? Talk to me. What are you worried about? Think about these things, dear ones, because you carry a light of comfort. That is your lineage. It's why you're here. It's why you're interested enough to listen to this message or be in this room. That's the truth of the day. I'll have more to say later. But dear ones, this is starting to be a more compassionate planet, and it starts today. Know these things. Go from this place differently than you came, with perspectives that might be very different than you ever expected. There's going to be no more normal on this planet, as I told you many times. And so it is. Hello, I'm Lee Carroll.
All right. Well, I think it's time now for a Kryon channel. Mm-hmm. And so I would like to invite our audience tuning in for this to allow themselves to relax in their chair. And if you've been busy doing things during our conversation, I invite you to just stop whatever it was that you were doing at the same time as joining in and take a moment to sit in the chair, soften your body, relax. Relax your head and your shoulders and your arms and hands and your knees, your thighs, your feet. Allow all the tension of the day to just dissolve and melt away. And once you've done that, I do invite you to close your eyes so that you limit any other sensory coming in to your field other than the audio, so that you can really take in deeply the messages that are being delivered to us in this moment from Kryon.
Greetings, dear ones. I am Kryon of Magnetic Service. Each week, we tell you much the same thing about the perspective and the perception that you might have of what is going on and that we would have from beyond the veil. We know who's watching. Perhaps there are those who would watch this program later having never seen it as it is presented now. We know who you are as well. No matter when this program is presented and you hear my voice, I will tell you this. Spirit is aware of you. It has nothing to do with the age of the program. It's always in the now. And that happens because of the intent that you have to watch. Isn't it beautiful to think that God is so aware of you that when you have the time to realize things or have an epiphany, or start to understand things you did not before, that there is actual celebration of this. It's a revelation, and the light is being turned on to some of you as you learn some things. I would like to expose something to you, a perception you might have that's a bit incorrect, and then tell you why I give it to you. These are always times of teaching and perhaps of exposing ideas that go beyond the linear human being. Now, you're going to hear us say this for a long time. For many years, I have come in explaining the differences between what you perceive and totally what is or might be. And almost all the times we do this, it's because of the dimensional shift that is going on. You live in a single-digit dimensional reality. You live in 4. But the real reality of all that is, the universe, is in hundreds of dimensions. Even science admits that there are more than 20 or 30 as they perceive it and start to identify them as the physics reveals them. So basically, you live in only a piece or a part of all that is. And yet, it is how you make your decisions. It is also how you perceive things. It's also that which is your reality. So in that, let me expose something. Some of you believe that either in past lives or other planets or wherever your soul has been, that there is some kind of remembrance of a society with high technology. Now, some of you know where I'm going with this, and some of you think you know, but neither of those cases do you really understand where I'm going with this. What is high technology to you? Let's talk about your grandparents or your grandparents' grandparents. What is the difference right now between their lives, them sitting in a room 100 years ago perhaps, or you sitting in a room where you are now? Here is what I'm going to tell you. There is almost no difference except for the technology. And so what you have today that they did not have is the technology. You can then transmit things, you can speak at long distances, you can travel through the air, you can do all these things. You have an amazing amount of things that they did not have. But let's say as you sit there, they all went away. All of them. Well, you'd be your grandparents. There you sit, just like they do. And that is, they'll have a book to read, they mail a letter, and it gets there in 3 weeks. All the kinds of things that they had, you would have without the technology. So where I am going with this is your perception of high tech. There are many who would weigh in on where your society is going, and they tell you that the knowledge will double every few years, or it's exponential. Where will you be, for instance, in 100 years? And your mind always goes to technology. You'll say, well, what we do today with our smartphones and our televisions and all that is in our virtual is going to amplify, and someday that technology will do this for us and do that for us. And I've told you the inventions that are coming. They're technology. Why would you think anything else but you're going to be helped with new inventions and new technology? Well, where I want to take you is back to that which I started. Let's say you felt you were part of a place in the past, either here on this earth or on another planet, that had high technology. Some of you feel in this story that when you had the high technology, perhaps you destroyed because of it, which is not the actual case at all, because God does not judge you for what you think or what you have. So there has never been a society, are you listening, There has never been a human society that was destroyed by God because of what humans did. You have free choice, dear ones, and there is no judgment. Now, that is contrary to what almost all of you have been told. This God who loves you dearly and is part of your soul thinks of you as a beautiful, beautiful extension of itself, almost a child of God. There is no judgment for learning, dear ones. When your children start to ride a bike and they will fall over, do you rush up, point at them and saying, "We're going to punish you now"? Or do you pick them up, wipe their tears away and say, "You can do it. You can do it"? Do you see what I am saying? Do you expect God is dysfunctional enough to watch humanity learn and fall and learn and fall and then destroy them because they do? Or is God there to pick you up, dust you off, hold your hand, look in your eye and say, "Let's try again. Let's try again"? You see what I'm saying? So high technology has never been your downfall, but let's talk about what you think it is. This is where it gets fun for me. It exposes biases. It exposes that which you think you know and that you don't, because you're not aware of what's coming. Let's go back to that society. Let's say you visit that society in the past, again, either here or another planet, and you walk in and they greet you. They say, "Oh, it's so great to have you back here." And you look around and you don't see any technology. You don't see smartphones. You don't see airplanes. And yet you see the results of them everywhere. You see, one of the humans you see that's welcome you back says, "Wait just a moment." And they close their eyes and say, "You know, Sally wants to talk to you. She's just waiting over there in the next street. I asked her to come on over." And you say, "Wait a minute. I didn't see you use your phone." You say, "Oh, we don't use phones here. I just asked her. We're always in touch. We have multiple channels. We can talk to each other anytime we want to." You see, we have a very high consciousness. Well, by the way, Fred will be here any moment. He's right now in Europe, but he'll be here in just a second. Do you see where this is going? And then Fred walks in the door. And you want to say to Fred, "Well, how was your flight?" And Fred might look at you and go, "What are you talking about?" I just transferred with my consciousness one place to another. It's easy because I know how, and so does everyone else here, and the communication is instant. You sit down at a meal and you ask, "How could such a meal be prepared, and where is your freezer? Where is your refrigerator?" And they look at like you're crazy. And they say, "All of this was available instantly to us. We manifested it because it's simply atomic structure altered. We did it ourselves, and it's pure. And it has all the vitamins we want within it because we manufactured it with our consciousness, and we converted that which was one thing into another." Do you see where I'm going to this? Do you see what the perception is? That is high technology. Not one device, not one transistor, not one solder joint, not one screen to touch. And then when it came to that which was their entertainment, that is another story. They put themselves into the story that they wanted to see. And not only did they enjoy it, they participated within it. Almost like they were the thespians of the movie they were watching. What a time. You've been there. That's high technology. And why would I tell you this? And what's the purpose? I want you to get chills when you think about this. That's where you're going. Dear ones, I have told you that this planet is headed for that which is an evolved consciousness. An evolved consciousness doesn't just mean you're not going to go to war. which is part of an evolved consciousness. An evolved consciousness doesn't just mean that you know better or that integrity will be better. It means that high technology is going to come from within. The very things that you laugh at today as being a little too strange, the twins, again, who can talk to each other or sense things on both sides of the earth, what's going on there? What is that? What kind of a consciousness allows you to do that? If you understand what I'm telling you, I am saying to you that your consciousness can create things, can sense things, can transmute and transmit things. Think right now of the masters who walked the planet and what they did. Think of the reports of when they validated that which was healing and also violated physical laws that you think had to be magic or miracles. What if that was high consciousness working at a level you haven't seen that is available to every single human on the planet? Think of that. Perhaps you didn't understand any of this channel. Well, you're just going to have to get it on a replay. It's good to listen to again. What if the high technology that is coming is going to be you? Perhaps in another body when you return, maybe generations from now, maybe a long time from now, that shows an entire different kind of earth without the gadgets because you don't need them. Think on these things and smile at the magnificence of the human that's going to create it. And so it is.